Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I have a review for you. I feel like it's been a little while since I've done a review on my channel. It's been a little while since I truly got like super excited about a makeup launch that I really wanted to get my hands on right away and review. But this one really excited me. So today we're going to be talking all about the Maybelline Superstay Full Coverage Powder. If you guys have been watching me for like the past year, then you know that I've been absolutely obsessed with the Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Full Coverage Foundation. This foundation tops all the foundations that I've ever tried. It is seriously like the best foundation. I know it's like the only foundation that I ever use in tutorials and stuff, but for a good reason. I just haven't found anything that really lives up to how much I love this foundation and how good it really is. It's just super full coverage, but it doesn't look cakey or anything. It's a huge favorite of mine. So when I saw that they launched the powder, I knew I had to get it and make a video on it and test this out for you guys. I just have really high hopes for this powder since I love the foundation so much. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Like I said, I'm going to be giving you guys all the specs. We're going to be doing a demo, and this does say that it is a 16-hour wear foundation. I don't usually wear my makeup for that long, and it is already 12:28, so 16 hours would put that at like 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So I definitely won't be able to do the 16-hour wear test, but maybe like a 10 to 12-hour wear test, because right now starting this video it already is about 12:30, so maybe a 10 to 12-hour wear test depending on how I'm feeling later, if I'm getting tired or anything like that. I'm so excited to be filming this review today. Like I said, I just really have high hopes for this foundation. So if you guys want to see my thoughts on this foundation, how it applies and how it wears throughout the day and all of that good stuff, make sure to keep on watching. So just like all of my reviews, I'm going to be jumping on into these specs first. If you guys haven't seen one of my reviews before, I always start off with like pricing, shade range, a little bit more about the product, then I will get into application and demo, and then lastly we will go through like a wear test and check-ins. But I will definitely have timestamps in the description box down below, so if you're only interested in certain parts, you guys can definitely jump through the video. But if you guys want to know like everything there is to know about the foundation, I definitely recommend watching the whole video just so you can get as much information as possible to see if the product would work for you or if it's right for you, if you would like it and stuff like that. So the first thing that I want to just go over really quick and basic things. This is considered a powder foundation. I'm just reading off some notes on my phone if I'm looking down. This comes in 11 shades, which I don't think is absolutely amazing. I think powders are something that you could get away with having less shades in, but only in like a sheer or transparent formula. Let's say something like the Maybelline Fit Me Loose powder. I definitely feel like they could expand their shade range on that as well, but it's definitely not as crucial because the powders are so sheer. They're almost just like a tinted translucent, if that makes sense. Whereas when it's a full coverage powder, or at least that's what it claims to be, you really want to make sure it's going to match your skin tone if it's giving you that full coverage, just like any normal foundation would. So I feel like the shade range isn't the greatest. I will pop a photo right here. As always, they can expand on their dark shades, and they just don't have a lot of shades at all in this powder. This foundation powder retails for $9.99 as the standard on Maybelline's website, but I did find this for $7 and change on Amazon, and it is as expensive as $11.99 in Ulta. So just be smart about where you're shopping. Like I've said in the past with drugstore products, prices always fluctuate depending on the retailer, and they will always be more expensive in a place like Ulta compared to an Amazon or a Target. So definitely probably the cheapest on Amazon that I've seen. Like I said, I bought mine for $7 and change. And then the claims on this foundation right off the back of the packaging: it is a full coverage powder foundation with a long lasting matte finish, up to 16-hour wear, lightweight and comfortable, fade and transfer resistant, and it also controls shine. One detail about this foundation that really stood out to me that we are going to be putting to the test today is that you could use this alone or on top of your liquid foundation. So that's what we're going to be doing today in the demo. I'm going to be doing my face like normal, half with my liquid Superstay, and then putting the powder foundation on top, kind of see if it adds that extra coverage. Maybe it'll look too heavy, or maybe it'll look beautiful and flawless. We're going to be testing that out. And then of course how the Superstay looks just on top of my normal primers as the actual foundation on my skin. So one we're going to be using as like a setting powder, and then one as just the foundation. So I really thought that claim was interesting. I want to put it to the test, see how it compares to the liquid formula, and like I said, I was just so excited to test this out because I love the liquid foundation so much. The shade that I picked up in this foundation is 120 Classic Ivory, just because that is the shade that I wear in the liquid foundation. So here's what that shade looks like. It might be picking up slightly lighter on camera just because of my soft boxes, but if I do like the little comparison side by side, it does look slightly lighter than the liquid formula as well. So I believe those are all the basic specs on this powder, and comparing it to the liquid foundation. If you guys have more questions or if I skipped over anything in this video, please feel free to let me know or ask me any questions in the comments down below. I love talking to you guys and answering your questions. But without further ado, let's just hop into the actual application portion of this video, where we will see how this works on top of liquid and then by itself as just a powder foundation. All right, so I just went in and zoomed in my camera so we can get kind of up close and personal with my face. I'll definitely probably zoom in even more once the products are on so you guys can see a difference. Also, if you guys are wondering why my under eyes look so dark, this palette that I used today, the fallout kind of like stained my face a little bit, so I'm just waiting to cover that up with concealer. So as always, I'm gonna go in and prime my face with my two favorite sprays, my Smashbox Primer Water and then my MAC Fix Plus. And then I'm gonna go in and prime my face with my favorite Smashbox Photo Finish Foundation Primer. This is like my everyday go-to primer. When I test out new products, you guys know I just like to keep my prep routine very simple and basic, how I normally would like to wear it. So I'm just taking a little bit of this on the center of my face around my nose. I mainly focus this on my T-zone, but then I will kind of stretch it out to the rest of my face. So I'm gonna start off with the foundation on the left side of my face, or the right side on your guys' screen. And I'm just gonna be doing like half a pump of this. I usually do a whole pump on my whole face, but I want to kind of conserve the foundation today and just use what I need. So I'm just gonna take half the pump and just spread this out on the left side of my face. And then using my Sigma F80 to blend this out. Next, I'm just gonna do some concealer under my eyes. I'm gonna be doing this on both sides just because even when I do wear a powder foundation, or not, if I don't wear any foundation, I always do like to put a little concealer underneath my eyes, just because I feel like the powder won't really do much for me in that area without concealer. Okay, and then lastly, before we actually get into the powder foundation, just to keep my routine as similar as I normally do so I can get a true feel for how the powder foundation is, I'm just gonna set my under eye concealer with this Maybelline Fit Me Loose powder, just because this is a lot more, it's pretty much almost translucent. It just has like a translucent tint, and I don't want to put that heavy powder foundation underneath my eyes because I don't really like that look, and I don't want to do it and then have like a wrong idea of how the powder is, you know what I mean? So I'm just gonna go in like I normally would with a little bit of my translucent powder just to set that concealer in place. Okay, so here's how the skin is looking so far. Here is my skin with concealer, foundation, and translucent powder underneath my eyes like I typically would. And then here is just my bare skin with a little concealer and translucent powder underneath my eye. So what I want to do first is I'm going to do the side with just the powder foundation on my bare skin to see how that performs, because I want to see what the coverage is like compared to the liquid foundation on its own without any extra coverage on top. So I'm going to be taking the powder as is, and I'm going to be testing out the applicator that comes with it. Usually when I am using a powder foundation on its own, I prefer applicators like this because you could really pat it in on the skin and get like that really nice full coverage look. Hopefully it's the same with this powder. So this does come with a sponge of its own. When you flip up the top, there was the little sponge here, and then it also has the mirror on the other side, which I will be using. So I'm just gonna really circle this in, try to get a nice amount of powder. Hopefully that color is good for me. And then just gonna start like, ooh, that looks like so much lighter than the other side of my face. Just gonna start kind of like packing this on, and hopefully it will stick. Oh my god, that color is so bad so far. This is not my color, you guys, at all. So far upon initial application, these colors are obviously not the same. The Superstay liquid foundation is just so much better for my skin tone. It's so much more like olive and like neutral to warm, whereas this I feel like is way too light and is pulling gray and just light on camera. I'm trying to blend this down my neck, but I just feel like I'm not getting a coherence because the other side of my face is like an actual match, and you could see where this kind of ends, but I'm just trying to do my best to kind of just pat this into the skin and blend it. This was not how I imagined that this would turn out, but that's okay. So here's just the up close look at what is going on here. I really wish the color was better so I could kind of have more of like a distinct idea here, but here is my face with the foundation, just the foundation and concealer, and then here is the powder foundation with just the concealer underneath my eye. So I feel like it's definitely giving me like decent coverage. It's definitely like a decent coverage powder. Like I would definitely throw this on my face and go on like an easy and quick day, but it's not my favorite. But now I want to try to use this on top of the liquid foundation. I'm a little bit nervous that it's going to kind of make me look a little bit too light on this side too, but hopefully we could make this work. But to set it, I'm actually just going to take a big fluffy setting brush, kind of just swirl it in the powder, and just bouncing this on top of my foundation to set the liquid Superstay. Here's the side of my face with the Superstay liquid as well as the Superstay powder on top. I feel like it added definitely some extra coverage. Maybe my skin looks like a little bit not super crazy, like a little bit more cakey and dry than it did before, but nothing crazy. I definitely feel like it added like a little bit more coverage. So here's just a close look of both sides of my face side by side. I'm definitely thinking the one with the liquid foundation looks a lot better. I don't know if you guys can see on the powder foundation side, I feel like it just looks a lot more dry and like my pores are showing through a lot more. I feel like it just looks a lot nicer and way more full coverage on this side of my face with the liquid underneath. I want to do a little quick clip in natural light before I finish up the rest of my face, just so you guys can see like maybe the coloring more. I know sometimes the soft boxes can tend to like wash things out a little bit, but I don't know if you guys can see how way too light this is for me, how the shade of the powder is a little bit off compared to how the powder looks on top of the liquid. Like from far away, I feel like the powder just on its own still makes my skin look like nice and airbrushed and pretty and even, but when you look up close, my pores look giant, and you definitely could tell that it's actually like powder sitting on top of the skin compared to how the liquid kind of melts into the skin and works with like the skin's oil a little nicer. I feel like the powder just looks like it's sitting on top of the skin. All right, I'm back. Here's the rest of my face done. I will have all the products that I used listed down below, but I definitely needed like lots of bronzer today to put some color back in my face. I was rewatching the footage while I was finishing up my face, and I cannot believe how much lighter this is on me. But I guess from that being said, I recommend going darker in the powder than you are in the foundation, because as you guys can see, it even lightened my actual foundation shade, I feel, and then the powder on its own is just very like ashy and ghosty looking on me. But I definitely recommend going darker in the foundation powder if you guys are going to purchase it. Talking about application and seeing how my face looks post applying other products on top, I definitely feel like I prefer how it looks on the side with the liquid foundation underneath. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to tell, but I feel like my products look really nice on this side. They went on top of the powder really nicely, but on the side of just the powder, I'll turn my face so you guys can hopefully see, I feel like those products didn't blend seamlessly together as nicely. They're also really not popping off of my face, and I also feel like they have some sort of a dullness to them. Just to give you guys another look, again, this is the side with the liquid foundation and then the powder, and then just the powder. I feel like the products on this side of my face, I use the same exact amounts. I dipped into the pans equal amount of times. I feel like the highlighter is not popping. I feel like they all look kind of like individual entities instead of like a nice cohesive vibe on the cheek. That's definitely the biggest difference that I see when putting products on top of the powder. Right off the bat, I could tell you guys that so far I'm not a huge fan of the powder. I am interested in seeing throughout the day how it holds up. If some of those natural oils that are going to break through, if they even break through, I want to see if they kind of give a little bit more life to the foundation. I want to see if it gets any darker throughout the day, because right now I'm not really feeling this on its own. I just feel like it looks a little bit dull. I feel like you could really see my pores, and it does look drying on the face, but again, that is when you do analyze it up close. From far away, I feel like it looks pretty decent, just not as nice, and I feel like my face just looks like more plump with the liquid underneath, but I could be just biased because I love the liquid foundation so much. But I guess I just had high hopes for the foundation powder, and I'm not seeing those results so far. But like I said, we are only pretty much like an hour in right now. It is 1:30 12:36. I want to call the check-in time between 12:45 and 1. Somewhere between there I finished applying the actual foundations, but let me know what you guys think so far. Next time you see me will be in a couple of hours for check-in number 1. Like I said, this is a 16-hour wear foundation, but no way I could stay up until 4 o'clock in the morning and do that. So maybe I will try to last somewhere between 10 p.m. and midnight, making it like a 10 to 12 hour wear test. But I will see you guys a little bit later for check-in number 1, and we will see how the powder foundation is holding up, how it is looking on top of the liquid foundation and stuff like that. All right, you guys, I am back. It is a little over 5 hours later now. It is 6 o'clock p.m. and I went out and about. I've had this makeup on, like I said, for about 5 hours, 15 minutes, somewhere around there, and this is what it is looking like. So here is the side with just the foundation powder. Sorry, my brows look a little crazy, but here's the side with just the foundation powder. Definitely did not oxidize or anything. I could tell you that right now. Still looking light. And then here is the side with the foundation as well as the foundation powder, the liquid foundation and the foundation powder on top. The side with the liquid foundation definitely looks more dewy, a little bit, not necessarily oily, I would just say a lot more like lively, whereas the side with just the foundation powder stayed a lot more matte over the past 6 hours. I'm definitely seeing the side with the powder foundation look a little bit better than it did because my natural oils are starting to peek through, so maybe the natural oil mixed with the powder is just making it look a little bit less dull, but it's still not my absolute favorite. I don't think it looks terrible by any means, but it's just not my favorite. Just to give you guys a little bit of a closer look, you can see it kind of like being a little weird around the nose. I feel like there's some redness peeking through around my lip and nose. It kind of wore off on that area a little quickly. A little bit here between my brows, I see a spot wearing off. And like I said, just from the start, you guys, I have like a lot of veininess and stuff going on this side of my face that the foundation powder just didn't cover. And again, I'm not loving how my like powder products are sitting on top. I feel like they just look a little bit patchy, whereas like I said earlier, I just think they look a lot nicer on this side with the liquid foundation. But as far as it goes on top of the liquid foundation, I really feel like it kind of looks the same as when I wear the normal foundation. I kind of get a little bit greasy whenever I wear liquid foundation. I don't feel like the powder is necessarily keeping me more matte or really controlling the shine on this side of my face. And keep in mind that's only after 5 hours of wear. So I don't feel like it's doing anything extra special on top of the liquid foundation. So far at this point, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. As the setting powder, it's okay. So far, I definitely prefer my Maybelline loose setting powder. I feel like it controls a little bit more of that shininess, and then just as the foundation, you guys know how I feel. It's nothing special, but I'm gonna get started on editing this video so I could have it up hopefully tomorrow for you guys, and then I will see you in my next check-in a little bit later tonight. Hi guys, so I'm back for my final check-in. It is 11:20 p.m. I wanted to make it to midnight or even later to hit the 12-hour mark. 12 hours would have been 12:45, 1 in the morning, but I am so tired and I have to get up really early tomorrow morning, and I just could not stay awake. I was trying to watch Friends and kind of like kill the time, but I was literally falling asleep and I didn't want to like lay down and mess up the foundation that we have going on. So I made it 10.5 hours. I'll just show you guys. It is 10:20 exactly, 10:20 p.m. So 10.5 hours of this foundation. So looking in the mirror right now, this side of my face first, that I'm going to talk about being the one just with the foundation powder on. I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like right now, after wearing it for a long time, it looks better than when I first applied it to the skin. And like I mentioned in my first check-in clip, I really feel like the natural oils in my face are making this just look a little bit more like lively and like it's one with my skin, whereas before and all day my skin was looking just powdery and it was looking like dry. I'm not saying it looks absolutely amazing. It's still not my favorite coverage wise and color obviously and stuff like that, but I feel like as those natural oils are seeping through, it's definitely like one with my skin a little bit more, if that makes sense. But I'm not absolutely obsessed. One thing that I noticed is my skin looks very, very textured right now, so I'm not really sure if my skin is having like some sort of reaction to the powder. I don't know what's going on, but even my mom said before, like I asked her how my foundation was looking and she said it did look like a little textured more than usual. Yeah, I just find it really strange that after 10 hours of wear, it's almost looking the best, but like I said, I feel like my skin was just craving the hydration, so I'm almost like a little bit more oily, if that makes any sense, but it doesn't bother me because I do like a little bit of a glowy look here and there. When the foundation powder was alone, it was just way too dry and powdery. So final thoughts on the Maybelline Superstay foundation just as a foundation powder. I'm not obsessed. I don't think it's absolutely horrible, you guys, but I'm just not living for it. I'm not a huge foundation powder person. I've just been so set in my ways with liquid foundations, full coverage liquid foundations. I feel like this is kind of, it's okay, but whenever I don't wear liquid foundation, I am just happy with wearing concealer and translucent powder. I feel like even on a no makeup day, this isn't really something that I would reach for just because I kind of have a no makeup routine set already, but I'm not obsessed. So as far as using the Superstay powder as a setting powder on top of the liquid Superstay, I honestly don't really have much to say. I don't see much of a difference. I do feel like my skin is looking a little bit extra greasy than it normally does compared to when I use my Maybelline loose setting powder or even my Laura Mercier translucent loose setting powder. I thought it looked pretty on top of the foundation. I definitely wasn't obsessed with how it looks. Like I said, it did have a little bit more of a cakey finish, but nothing terrible. But I just don't see myself reaching for this over my favorite setting powders like my Maybelline one or my Laura Mercier. And then here is just the close-up of my face after 10.5 hours with the foundation underneath and then the powder alone. All right, you guys, so that is going to complete my first impression, demo, and comparison on the new Maybelline Superstay Full Coverage Foundation Powder. Just to give you guys like a quick overall statement, I'm just not super obsessed with it. I thought I would because I love the foundation a lot, but I think I'm going to test it out a few more times, see if I could make it work in different ways, and I will definitely update you guys in like a future favorites video or a disappointing products video, however this works out for me. But I definitely think that if you guys want to try it out, maybe it would work for you. Like I said, I usually really love Maybelline products, but unfortunately this one is just not working for me so far. It's not like the worst product I've ever tried, but I just feel like I've definitely tried better from Maybelline, and I just don't see myself reaching for this over some of my other favorite powders. Also, like I previously mentioned, I recommend going darker in this powder because this was way too light for me, especially on the side where I wore it alone. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed seeing this video, and I hope it was helpful. If you guys have tried this powder before, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have any application tips on how to apply powder foundation. I'm not really huge into powder foundation, so I don't know if I was just applying it wrong or whatever, but definitely let me know in the comments down below because I would love to hear from you guys. If you guys did enjoy this video or find it helpful, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed before you leave. I would love to have you guys here as part of my little YouTube fam. If you don't want to miss out on any of my future uploads, make sure to click that notification bell down below and you'll get notified every single time that I upload a new video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and of course, I will see you in my next one. Bye guys!